Facebook has seen a massive drop recently. Is it time to buy more or is it time to sell? That's what we're going to go over today. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Josh. This channel is all about the stock market. So be sure to subscribe, ring that bell so you get a notification every time I release a new video, and hit that like button for me. Let's dive into it. So we know Facebook had earnings recently. Their earnings was estimated to be $3.78 a share, and they came in at $3.67, so 11-cent miss. Not too huge, but for Facebook, it's definitely a new thing to miss earnings, so it's something you got to think about a little bit. And you know that their user growth seemed to have stalled some, and that's something else to think about. But is this a buying opportunity, or is this something we should sell out of and get out of our positions? Well, I don't think so. And I'm going to show you why I don't think you should sell out yet. And this is not financial advice. This is all my opinion. But if you look at Facebook chart, this is the Facebook chart, the 1 day, 3-year chart, so the daily chart. And if you look, it has a strong uptrend since 2019. And down here looks to be about the dynamic support around that area here. So it had this strong up channel. And if we look at the more recent data, it looks like we have a channel that was going through here. And then we had a channel that was going about right through there. So we had another channel in here going. And then right here was the day of the earnings was released, and then it gapped down. And then as you can see, the past 4 days, it's been just trending down. It's not very strong looking at all, but there's a glimmer of hope here when it comes to technical analysis with a chart like this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term the gap fill. So 9 times out of 10, when you have a gap in a chart like this, it gets filled. So there's a good chance that the stock price will go back up. So don't be too concerned if you're holding and hoping right now. Again, in my opinion, I really do think Facebook's going to recover eventually. And the reason why I think so as well is the metaverse and the meta platforms and all this is new. And I think there is a lot of upfront cost to it. And Facebook is one of the main players in that space. So I think they're investing a lot right now, and that's part of the reasons their earnings wasn't too great. So that's just something to bear in mind. But let's switch over to the intraday chart real quick to see what happened today. So as you can see, there is a huge sign of strength here towards the end of the day. And after hours, it's holding solid. So it's acting as if it may have bottomed out here. You want to look at the pattern intraday here towards the end of the day. This looks like a clear reversal pattern right here. So that's just something that may just be a short-term thing, but right now for the short term, it's looking like it may have found a bottom. So let's just hope so right now. Let's check QQQ to see if there's any correlation with the Facebook stock and the overall market. So as you can see here, we got QQQ pulled up. And if you're not familiar with QQQ, it's an ETF that tracks the NASDAQ. So it's more or less the ETF of the NASDAQ. So as you can see, it's been a strong uptrend as well. And you had this huge drop off the trend. And then it came back down, kind of retested that area. Then it went right back down. So as you can see, it's kind of following Facebook, or Facebook's following it, because Facebook has such a huge role with the NASDAQ because it has so much market share, and it kind of moves the NASDAQ a little bit when it sells off. So that's just something to bear in mind. And if we look at it intraday as well, it's probably going to have about the same pattern as Facebook. It looks like, yeah, as you can see, the pattern looks very similar. It came down, had this bottom, then shot right back up. So Facebook probably does have a tendency to move the NASDAQ because it's such a huge player, like I said. So that's probably not too helpful as far as seeing how the overall market and Facebook is interacting with each other. So let's go ahead and look at the SPY. So here's the chart of the SPY over the past 3 years. And if you're not familiar with the SPY ETF, it tracks the S&P 500, and Facebook is in the S&P 500, so just bear that in mind. But if we zoom up here, this is each day is a candle here. So we broke that strong support, came back down, now kind of retested that area. It didn't quite touch the support, which is acting as resistance now. And it's just kind of hanging out here around $450. And if we take a look at it intraday, it's going to look similar to the NASDAQ, I'm sure, but yeah, it kind of has that same pattern to it. And as you can see, it had that drop, little bottom here, then came back up. Nice little push there towards the end of the day, and into the after hours it doesn't look too bad. It's just holding in there, so that's a positive sign. So we'd like to see that, so hopefully that helps keep Facebook propped up and not let it sell off as hard as it could. After looking at the NASDAQ and SPY, let's take a look at the VIX, and we're going to see if the VIX plays any role in this Facebook extravaganza. Here's the 3-year, 1-day chart of the VIX, and as you can see, the VIX is more of a sideways chart because it moves up and down with volatility, and with increased fear, you get an increase in volatility. So let's take a look here at what it's doing recently. So as you can see, the VIX was way up here when there was a lot of fear in the market, and now as you can see, it's come down a good bit. So if you're looking for a good place to sell, you'd want to wait for the VIX to be as low as possible, and a good place to buy would be to buy when the fear is up here. So that's just a good rule of thumb. So as you can see, the VIX is kind of in the center right now. It's not really showing a lot of fear or a lot of optimism. So it's really not going to be a good indicator of whether you should buy or sell your Facebook shares. Of course, I'm not selling mine, but that's my opinion. And so just keep an eye on the VIX. Very important to do if you're new to trading. So now let's take a look at the VIX, the SPY, the QQQ, and Facebook stock all together. So I just threw QQQ over top of the Facebook chart. So QQQ is going to be this big purple line going through here. So if we take a look, down here is the Facebook price. And as you can see, QQQ looks like it had a little uptrend right here just temporarily. But Facebook, as you can see, is still trending down. So it's not correlating correctly. It's inverse correlating. So that means that when Facebook moves down, it's showing the NASDAQ is actually moving the other way. So it's not really going to be a helpful indicator as to whether Facebook's going to go up or down. So let's go ahead and check out the SPY. Okay, so now SPY is the blue line right here. So as you can see, same thing. It in the NASDAQ is kind of together. As you can see, the NASDAQ is way more volatile than the S&P 500. Well, I wouldn't say way more, but as you can see, it's definitely more volatile. But it, again, is not showing anything that we can use as a good reference to keep an eye on. So right now, the S&P 500 isn't very helpful either. Let's take a look at the VIX. If we take a look at the VIX, it's the pink line. As you can see, as the fear goes down, so does Facebook. So that's clearly not a good way of looking at it either. So really, there's no big indicators that we can follow as far as can we look at the NASDAQ or can we look at the SPY. So if it's having a good day, we should go ahead and buy more Facebook. Right now, it looks like Facebook's kind of just moving on its own. So let's just keep that in mind. Let's check Google and see if there's any news on Facebook stock. So I typed in Facebook stock and it looks like the Meta Platforms Incorporated. And now, as you can see, this is the stock chart just like Thinkorswim, but I want to see news. So let's go click the news tab, and let's see, NVIDIA becomes 7th largest U.S. company as it passes Facebook owner Meta for the first time. So looks like Facebook is getting a little bit of competition. Facebook parent Meta's recovery will be stunted by TikTok, according to Josh Brown. So that may or may not be true. I didn't know TikTok really was a key competitor, to be honest with you. That's the first time I've heard that. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on as well. Facebook market cap falls below 600 billion. That's billion with a B. That is a lot of money, which could actually help it dodge new antitrust scrutiny. Wow. So it looks like it might be a positive we had a stock drop in a weird way. So I like that optimistic outlook by CNBC. All right, Facebook falls behind NVIDIA as market cap and now 8th most valuable U.S. company. Okay. Meta Platforms stocks Tuesday underperforms the market, which we already went over that in this video. Let's see. Facebook parent Meta stock plunges, exposes a weakness for the S&P 500 and index fund investors. That's what I just went over, people. I just said about how the Facebook is so entwined with NASDAQ and the S&P 500. So when it goes down, it's going to start pulling those big indexes down with it because it has such a huge market share. So we got to look at that. So that's why it's hard to look at the indexes when it's time to buy or sell Facebook, because Facebook moves the index so much themselves. So that's something we already went over. And NASDAQ jumped 1%. Dow climbs 370 points as Wall Street shakes off the slowest start of the week. Okay. Dow adds 372 points. NASDAQ 1.3% as Peloton soars 25%. And I'm going to be putting out a video about Peloton here soon, so keep an eye out for that. Peloton had just had a huge day today, and I'm really curious to see what's going on there because that thing was way up here, now it's way down here. So it could be a great buying opportunity at the moment. So that's something else we're going to keep our eyes on, because as a trader, you always got to be looking out for opportunities, and they're not always black and white. There's a lot of gray areas where sometimes you don't know if you should or shouldn't get in, and you just got to look at the timing. I remember when the Rona hit, I jumped into a bunch of stocks like CCL, Carnival Cruise Lines. I got in on Delta. I got in on Boeing. Boeing was my best trade ever. I'll probably make a video about that at some point. And I got in on all these stocks that just tanked out of nowhere, and it was the best thing to happen. So whenever you see stocks tank, that's a good time to start watching them. My favorite plays are when stocks tank and then they find a bottom, then you buy the bottom, which you hope it's the bottom, but it's not always the case. And let's see here, Sundial, 180-day expansion. Okay. So that's really the biggest news articles when it comes to Facebook. So there's not too much to really dig out of that, but other than stuff that I already went over on this video. So as you just seen, Facebook is not trending with the overall market. So that's something to keep in mind. So there's clearly a reason why it's not, and we all know it's because of the recent earnings. So we don't know how long it's going to take for Facebook to totally level out. So we don't know, is it going to be less than $200 a share before we know it? We don't know. But what I do know is I'm holding my position, and I'm pretty positive Facebook will make a rebound. Again, this is all my opinion. I'm looking for that gap fill at least, and then some. So the metaverse is the future, so hang in there. If you want to learn more about the stock market, check out one of these videos below.